Blackwater Lake isn't a body of water. It's a massive, silent liquid grave. No fish live in it, and no sound travels across it. Local legend centers on the drowned boatman, a ferry pilot named Silas, who sank his barge in a terrible storm 60 years ago, taking a dozen passengers with him. They say he still rows across the lake at midnight, eternally trying to deliver his final passenger. For Maya, a folklorist researching localized sonar anomalies, the lake's silence was the key. She launched her small aluminum research boat precisely at midnight, the stillness so profound she could hear the thrum of her own pulse. She lowered her hydrophone into the black water. The deep silence was instantly shattered by a single agonizing sound, a faint, desperate gasp, a short, sharp intake of air as if a drowning man had momentarily broken the surface, followed by a heavy, profound plop as the body sank back down. The gasp was followed by a rhythmic, heavy creak slosh, the undeniable sound of a small wooden boat being rowed, completely out of rhythm, coming from the center of the lake. Maya aimed her thermal camera at the noise source. The screen registered a massive, localized cold spot, a perfect boat-sized silhouette of deep blue, moving slowly across the surface toward her position. As the rowing sound neared, a low, guttural voice, waterlogged and thick with the sound of choked grief, spoke through the hydrophone. "He must pay the fare! He must pay the fare!" It was Silas, the drowned boatman. The terrifying thing was, the voice was not echoing. It was flat, immediate, as if he were sitting in the small boat with her. Maya looked out into the absolute blackness, trying to locate the source. The creek slosh was right alongside her, and the smell of the air changed instantly, from clean lake water to a sharp mineral tang of old saturated wood and the heavy sweet rot of river lilies. Maya fumbled for her main light, casting a powerful beam onto the water beside her boat. The rowing sound stopped. Illuminated by the beam was a small antique wooden skiff, listing heavily, its hull black with algae. In the center, a figure sat rowing. A man in sodden, old-fashioned clothes, his face a shocking white against the black water, his eyes wide, fixed, and black as the lake itself. He was completely silent, the voice and the rowing sound apparently being projected from the boat itself. The drowned boatman raised one hand, and the heavy, saturated wood of his skiff visibly groaned under the movement. He pointed directly at the center of Maya's chest. The hydrophone shrieked with static, and the waterlogged voice boomed from the sound system. "The final passenger! The last word must be given to the lake!" Maya noticed a small, wet journal resting on the seat beside him, its cover black with water. A single dark loop of rope, soaked and thick, was tied around the oarlock. The boatman did not move, but the massive, cold silhouette of his skiff began to slowly, inexorably, nudge Maya's aluminum boat, pushing it toward the center of the lake. The waterlogged voice from the hydrophone continued its agonizing demand. "The word! Speak the word, and the journey ends!" Maya understood the core of the curse. Silas couldn't finish his final trip until his last passenger provided the missing piece of his confession, the single final word he was denied before he drowned. She looked at the boatman, the desperate, drowned stare fixed on her, and knew the only way to stop the perpetual crossing was to complete the record. She reached over, grabbed the wet journal from his skiff, and flipped open the ruined, damp pages. She aimed her light at the final black-inked entry, which ended abruptly with the word, "Guilty." Maya screamed the final word across the silent lake. "Guilty!" The moment the sound left her lips, the drowned boatman's skiff erupted in a final massive gasp of escaping air and water, the saturated wood dissolving instantly into a torrent of bubbles that smelled of lake mud and ancient rust. The figure of Silas vanished. The lake was once again a sheet of profound, black stillness. Maya sat, panting, clutching the dripping journal. The curse was broken. As she rowed back to shore, she looked at the final page of the journal. The entry was completed, the word guilty perfectly inscribed in her own handwriting. But beneath it, a new line was written in the familiar waterlogged script. "Thank you, final passenger. Your voice is mine now." Maya tried to speak, but only a low gurgling sound, thick with water and rust, escaped her throat. The boatman was gone, but his voice was the last fare paid. Subscribe to Whisper Dark for more.